Willkommen zum Keelhauled Podcast. Ich bin euer Gastgeber CaptainLogun und wir haben heute über eine Menge Sea of Thieves Neuigkeiten zu berichten. Also schnallt euch an den Mast und haltet euch fest. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, I have a very special guest with me, and if you can tell from the opening, he's a bit of a German fellow. So join me in welcoming Thor von Blitz. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. If you didn't understand what the intro said, it's just my normal intro as always. But the reason why it was in German is because with me, I have Thor von Blitz of the Sea of Thieves community. Thor, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. This has been something that I should have done a long time ago because you and I have talked quite frequently over the last couple years for Sea of Thieves, and we've gotten to sail once in a while, and we even were randomly hanging out once at Maro's outpost, and Falcor sailed up to us, ran up, said hi, and then sailed off because he was doing a video thing, and we were just like, okay, well, that was Falcor, so I guess bye, hi. So that was kind of
a great moment.
Yeah, really random to run into Falcor just as we were just kind of hanging out, and we weren't even doing anything. We were just sitting around chatting.
I feel like that's always what we do. Whenever
it's
I join
true.
you,
it's true. We don't actually participate in the game. It's more like, oh, dude, I haven't talked to you in forever. I just want to talk with you for a bit. So now is our opportunity. We actually get to sit down and I got to, you agreed to come onto the podcast and talk with me about you in general, but also because you just got a community spotlight on the Sea of Thieves website. And a lot of our friends have been on the spotlight before, but it's one of those few times where someone who's been invested in the game longer than I have been is getting recognized. And I know that they've had like other people in the past. Like I know, for example, Jay, who was on the last episode, his spotlight went up a long time ago, and it's still active, but probably most people probably haven't actually seen it, but they probably know him from YouTube. But your content creation is more in helping out with fortune and not really so much with, like, you don't personally do a whole lot of content creation as far as I know of. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I'm not really that much of a content creator. I don't really stream. I don't produce any videos on YouTube.
So why is that, actually?
I don't know. Probably before, like up until recently, I didn't have a PC. That changed. So maybe I do something in the future. But yeah. I don't know. I think my interaction is mainly nowadays via Twitter. Like a lot of stuff that I did on the forums before, like being very, very active on the forums. Now switched to Twitter ever since the release.
How do you feel about the forums?
Still very fond of them. Although there's... And that always happens when a game is out for a longer time. You get some repeating questions, and then it's up to the old people in the forums to be kind and redirect them.
How does it feel when you guys were, because we're kind of in two states right now, like you and I, like you were at the ground level when Rare first announced Sea of Thieves, and as the spotlight talks about, and I don't want to take away anything away from Cameron because he might be listening, but the article, you never know, man, you never know. Cameron might pick this one up, but I wanted to bring up the fact that you've been like a part of Sea of Thieves ever since they announced it, because it just seemed really interesting from a cooperative perspective. And you've always been around Rare games, kind of like I have been. But the main thing that I wanted to touch on was with the forums, everyone was kind of collaborating to kind kind of uncover more of like what's going on with Sea of Thieves as they were starting to announce it. And now we're kind of doing that with Everwild. So are you kind of looking forward to there being like a forum type scenario with Everwild, or are you just happy with like the Discord that we're in right now?
No, I'm really looking forward to any form of forum we hopefully get with Everwild, because I did join the Sea of Thieves forums quite early, or I had an eye on them, but it was after I got my alpha invite. So I wasn't there from the very, very start. The people that were there from the very, very start were like Lizard and Catchru Walker and so on. Many people that are now deckhands.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of intrigued to see. It's so interesting to me to see a community form from the very get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And you get some familiar names right now on the Everwild Discord, which is also kind of cool. But you also get many new people that never had any association with Sea of Thieves or something like that. So it's nice to see regular names popping up in that Discord over time. I just want to see how it develops further if we get a forum. Like,
It's going to be really interesting for sure. I'm excited to see what lessons Rare's going to take away from Sea of Thieves and then apply that to Everwild. If Everwild ends up being like one of those online cooperative multiplayer type games, which at this point we really don't have too much idea.
We don't know anything. Yeah.
Yeah. We're still trying to come up with names for animals and stuff like that. So. And
Bloom Deer, if you number one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Bloom Deer is like the safest bet that we've got right now. We just had this was really cool. I noticed that you in the Discord that you had just gotten a chance to check out the video for it, the audio descriptive one. What did you think of the fact that they actually released a version of the Everwild trailer that had accessibility options for people with bad eyesight or just not sighted at all?
I mean, it just speaks for Rare, right? That they're true to their word to try and be an inclusive studio, trying to be welcoming to whoever you are, no matter what disabilities you have or abilities you have. I think that's really great. I wonder how that will translate to the final game, if they have like a special mode for the game that is more I don't know how you say that. It's working towards enabling people with disabilities, with sight disabilities or something, to be more in touch with the game. Like, because I know of a blind gamer. He recently also joined the Discord, the Everwild Discord. He is blind and he plays games just with the audio cues. And I have no idea how he does it. That's an incredible skill. But if he gets a game that might tell him that he's looking at a flower or you are stepping through water or something, I don't know how that worked, but it's an interesting new thing actually. That's quite new in gaming. I think Rare's on the forefront of something like that. Again, I don't know if they plan to have a feature for that, but
there was a game that came out on mobile a while back that the screen was black and you had to play it with headphones. And as you played with headphones, you would swipe on the screen to perform actions. And all of the action in combat in the game was audio based. So everything that you did, you had to do based on what you could hear. So it played with spatial sound a lot, and kind of touching on something with how the next console of games is going to be approaching stuff like audio. I know, for example, I'm pretty sure it was PS5 that they said that they were going to have like 3D sound. And I can only assume that the Xbox Series X is going to have parity with that as far as feature set goes, just so that they can kind of check off that box. But with a game like Sea of Thieves, so much information in the game is relayed through sound. You know, when a kraken spawns, when a megalodon spawns, when a powder keg is lit, when a cannonball goes off. So much is based on how far you are, if you're underwater, if you're on top deck or below deck. And I'm really hoping that you're right, that with Everwild, Rare can really utilize sound as a way to convey what's going on in the world around you, because it doesn't look like it's a game that is fast paced. So it opens itself up to being more accessible for folks that need that time to judge a space based on sound alone.
Yep.
So, and we had an argument on the Everwild Discord, and we don't have arguments really ever, but I wanted to put this out into the world so that people can maybe reach out to me and respond, and reach out to you and decide, with this planet, is it going to be named Bob or is it not going to be named Bob?
See, I thought we shifted to falafel or falafel.
was that
I don't know.
okay?
I don't know if we all agreed on that, but it definitely sparked a nice conversation after the Bob.
I mean, I'm a little more inclined to falafel now that you mention it. I missed that part on the Discord, so I'm for any of those that are wondering what the heck we're even talking about, in the Everwild Discord, there's been this community creative center where people have been drawing like animals, and like one person drew a mud horn from The Mandalorian, and we're hoping that gets put into the game. But we've been constantly trying to come up with our own ideas for what this game is going to be, and one of the suggestions was, what should we name the planet? And you suggested Bob, and I said that you can't name a planet Bob. So then you proclaimed I was going to be the president of Bob, which I refuse. So now falafel is apparently on the table. So I'm curious to know what people's thoughts of this Everwild world could be named. Maybe people could send in some suggestions of their own. So, but we're kind of hopping around all the different topics, and I wanted to see if I could probably bring us back on. So what was it like being in the community for so long and finally getting reached out to by Cameron to do the spotlight for you? Was that pretty exciting, or were you kind of wondering, like, where was my invitation? Did it get lost in the mail?
No. It was actually quite the surprise still, because I don't see myself that much as a big influencer or whatever part of the community. I mean, one of the questions in the spotlight was that quite a few people seem to know you, and I kind of reflected on that a bit and was like, yeah, right, I guess a couple people do know me. But yeah, overall it was a big surprise to be asked, because I don't see myself as one of the big players or anything at all. I'm like super humble. I'm bragging about being humble.
Well, I will 100% back you up on that. You're very much a humble person, as far as I've known you. I mean, one of the things I asked you to go hug a random guy. Well, not a random guy. It was John. Internal error
Yep.
at I mean,
my
it's
answer
hard.
might have been different if you would have asked me to, hey, can you hug that random guy in the background? Because you were watching, it was a TwitchCon, it was being broadcast, and you were basically watching the stream, and you eventually spotted me in the background because we were in the waiting area just sitting around a table. So I started waving at you, and then you gave me the task of hugging John, which was cool. And John is always up, not always, please don't run all the time towards him and say, hey, I need to run from a stranger. No, but John is really, he's such a cool person that he's down with almost any shenanigan you can come up with. Like,
It's
I literally
true.
just, after you sent me the message, could you do me a favor and hug John for me? I was like, yeah, sure. So I just walked over right away, did my little sign. I just wrote something on a little piece of paper and be like, here's, hey, John, Logan wants a hug. Or wants to give you a hug remotely.
It's so funny, and I love it. And wasn't it Foxdie that took the photo
Yeah,
for you guys? Which
yeah.
kudos to Foxdie and Kata for when they were doing the championship tournament. I can't remember
Uh,
contest. They were out there playing, doing their
we're all playing.
hunt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the first time that TwitchCon EU and was in Berlin, and it was
yeah,
the first time the public was able to play the arena.
yeah.
So that was
Man,
really exciting, and
that was really cool.
it was
You've been
also
to
so
Rare a
cool to
bunch.
meet. I've met.
You've been,
I've been to the UK a bunch. I've not been at
yeah.
Rare yet. That's still a thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've never
Hold
been at the
on.
studio yet. No.
Hold on, wait a minute, because I've been going back. I've been listening to all of the podcast episodes, and I strongly recall. I am 90% sure Emma once mentioned that you actually went to visit them at the studio. Who's
No, what
are you
Emma
calling
said,
her a?
Emma being
Okay,
a
okay.
former, the former
She
community
was,
manager of
yeah,
Rare. No, what she said during, was it one of the tavern talks? I think one of the
yeah.
last tavern talks, right? She said that I traveled to the UK multiple times. She didn't say that I was at Rare. So that's.
Okay, so I'm
She only
misremembering
said
that.
he's the madman that flew over a couple times just to be at Rare events and stuff. I was not at the studio though, not yet at
Okay,
least. I'm
okay.
just
Well,
gonna
that's
show
kind
up
of
there
crazy.
unannounced one day and be, hey, let me in, let me
You
in.
you could probably just walk in. They'd probably feel like, "Oh, Thor's finally back." God, we were wondering. We were gonna send out all the puppies to come find you, but we figured you'd just come back at some point. Okay, so but you've been to the UK a whole lot. You've been venturing out to go visit with the devs on a regular basis. Like, is it at the point now where they just see Thorben and they're like, "Oh, hey, it's Thor. How's it going, man?"
Kinda. I think my first visit there, like when I was flying over, was for the Herbert Museum in Coventry. They had like a Rare
Hmm.
exhibit. They had
I remember
also
that. Yeah.
a part of the exhibit was just Sea of Thieves, and I
Yeah.
talked to Music Me, Damien,
Oh,
and
nice.
Liza LaRue, uh, because they wanted to meet up. So we kind of got in contact, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna fly over there and meet you guys." So we met there, had a fun time, and met some of the Rare devs there as well. And then I think my second time to the UK was EGX 2018, I think. Um, where it was kind of funny as well because nobody knew if Rare was gonna attend EGX. So there was a
Oh,
bunch. I
yeah.
mean, like a big bunch of Rare and Sea of Thieves fans was just there with
Yeah.
the hopes that they
Just
would show
hoping.
up. And Rare kind of last minute, like a couple days before EGX went on, basically announced that, okay, because all of you are asking, we are now gonna
Yeah.
have a panel at EGX, and everybody was happy because a lot of people booked their train tickets or bought their EGX tickets or flight tickets just on the premise that Rare might be there, and there was no confirmation at all. There was nothing being said week after week after
Yeah.
week, and then there was such a relief when they said, "Okay, we're gonna do a panel," and the panel was packed. It was such a fun time, and
That was
everybody
one of
took.
the biggest ones, I think, wasn't it? That was
Yeah, it
the
was. It was
introduction to
like
the
a
comics.
completely secluded. It was a secluded room, and there was a couple. There must have been at least a hundred, a little over 100 people must have been in that room.
Yeah.
Because we ran out of chairs. The people, there was so many people that basically the whole back of the room was full with people just standing there because there was no chairs left. And it was amazing because the devs that were there, Andrew, Shelley, who else was there? Mike, Joe. I don't know if
Yeah.
John was there, but there was a lot of them there, and they took their time, like to even before the panel and after the panel, they took their time to just have a chat with everyone. It was great.
That's one of the things about this studio that absolutely, it still blows my mind that they're so approachable. Like I have friends that are devs at other companies, and I play with them. So when I do get to hang out with them, it's just kind of like we're getting together to hang out. But it's like I appreciate what they do and they know that I love their work, but I don't have that same reverence for them that I do for like the Rare staff, because they really have created something that has just brought so much joy to my life and to so many other people's lives, that I just the ability to actually talk with them, regardless of who it is, just really, it's like I get anxious just thinking about like some of the people that I talk to on a regular. I'm like, I shouldn't be. They're just another person. But when you talk about them being at a panel and taking time to actually talk, like they could have bounced. They could have very easily just been like, all right, well, we're gonna go back and do some other stuff or this or that or some press interviews, but they really celebrate spending time with their fans. And that's something that I don't know I've seen many other like people do. Like I've been in lines to get posters signed and stuff, but you get shuffled through a line. You know, you don't really get to kind of sit down and chat with people. And it seems like everyone that I talked to that has talked to a Rare dev has had like a good interaction with them. It hasn't been like, you know, oh, Joe was there and I walked over and he's like, hey, good to meet you. Gotta go. You know, it was always like Joe was interested in talking to them. So, I mean, it's such a cool idea that you get a chance to actually sit there and talk with them. And you said you've gotten to meet them 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yeah. I think that was like 2 times. First time in Coventry, then Birmingham, and I went over another time to London. It was a small Twitch event, like a community meetup just for Twitch. Like it was in a big ass party tent in the middle of London in the winter. And I think Rare and Sea of Thieves were kind of being sponsoring it a bit. And so they were there as well. So I was like, all right, let's fly over. And I sound like a stalking person right now. No, actually,
I think we all are.
No. We met up with a few friends from the community. Some of the old salts. They're always regulars. They're like one of the pillars of the forum. Actually, they've been there from the start as well.
Yeah.
And that was basically the first time when I think John and Joe were crossing the street to get to the venue, and they spotted us standing outside in line, and we're like, "Hey!" Super friendly, and immediately recognizes you. That's basically the first time when they were like, "Hey, that's familiar faces. That's awesome that you guys are here." And then we met up again inside, and we're just having lovely chats, and everybody was enjoying their time. So, and then I think after that, oh god, I think after that it was already EGX 2019, so last year's EGX. That's probably the last time I went over.
Yeah.
And we had 2 panels, so that was great.
And you took a box of flags over to him. Some ones for
No, but
representing.
It was Gamescom. That's a whole other story. Because I left out the meetings with the devs when I was in Germany. I was just talking about England right now.
Oh, man.
Because I think my first contact with the Rare devs was at Gamescom 2017. So before I was flying over to England all the time, because I stood up early. Basically, that was so cool. That was still during alpha times, right? So it was Gamescom was one of the first couple events where people were getting hands-on experience outside of the alpha.
Yeah.
And so I had because I was a technical alpha player or tester, I had a bug report. I had a bug. I can't talk about that, obviously, because of the NDA and stuff. It's still in place. But I had a bug that I found. So I made a report, and I reported it through the official channel and stuff as well. But I also wrote down the bug report handwritten on a piece of paper, made a little story up that kind of was like in universe, like inside the Sea of Thieves, how the character was wondering why this keeps on happening and happening. And I made like I wrote it down, handwritten. I made a little scroll, got a little wax seal, tied it up neatly. So and then I went to Gamescom, and I handed it to Joe. that was a great thing. Yeah, they were happy. They were like, "Oh God, that's neat," and stuff like that. And super. That was my first contact with them as developers. And again, I would. It's when you are part of a community like the Sea of Thieves community from that early on. I've never had that before. I've been in Halo communities and stuff like that, and I dabbled in their forums because I think Reddit wasn't that much of a thing back then. But you skirt the forums sometimes, but it's mostly the exchange you have within your friend circle and whoever you meet online at the time.
Definitely.
So I've never been this much. I was never this involved with the community from the get-go. So meeting developers that early on when the game isn't even out and they're super friendly, that was my first impression of them, and that left like a lasting impression, because I was like, these guys, even back then, these guys are so approachable. They just, you just go there, you have something nice, you want to give them something, and they're so appreciative of it, and really nice. Joe invited me basically because they were streaming from the Gamescom location as well, and he basically said, "You wanna play and stream?" And I was like, no, not. I was like a deer in the headlights, I guess that's an expression, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know what to do, and I was like, I just got here to Gamescom. I'm gonna walk around for a bit, and I'm biting my butt to this day. I should have just said, yes, Joe. Obviously, I want to be backstage and play Sea of Thieves on stream. I didn't do that, but it was so nice. Like, where do you get that? Where you walk up to a dev and they're like, "Hey, guy, you wanna play?" Like, they're so, I don't know. It's so awesome.
Yeah, they're great. I love that dev team so much. They're some of my favorite people that I love to keep track of and see. And their interactions online reflect that as well too. Like, a lot of people just know Sea of Thieves from their videos, but if you watch their tweets, if you keep track of what they're doing on a social basis, you really start to see just how awesome these people are, and how much they really, like, every job has its ups and downs and stuff, but they genuinely share this love for Sea of Thieves that I think the community recognizes and appreciates, because it feels authentic. It feels like they aren't just trying to get money. And a lot of the times you look at companies and you're like, oh man, this is Activision sticking their finger in Blizzard's pie to get some money out of them, or oh, this is EA sticking their finger in Respawn's pie to try and get some money out of us. And with Microsoft, it feels like Microsoft is obviously wanting the studio to build new IPs. Kind of in the because we recently got an article about talking about what changed with Rare in the last, what was it, 6 or 8 years, I think. The article, like, who saved Rare.
I think
Yeah, so gamesindustry.biz put out an article that says, who saved Rare? And the article was written by Christopher Dring on the 30th. And it basically goes into a long conversation about, like, how Craig Duncan, who, if you don't know who Craig Duncan is, he's the studio head. He is... it's hard to say like he's the one person, because it's never just down to one person, but he's basically the one that took up the helm and steered the Rare ship in a direction that gave them the freedom to build a game like Sea of Thieves that is so unique and so different and so interesting compared to any other game that's on the market right now. There's tons of indie games, but having this first party studio build a game like Sea of Thieves is really attributed to Craig taking like O'Connor and Proger and Neat and all these different heads or all these different management people, bringing them together and having them hire on more people that are creative to kind of create this awesome game. And now they're doing Everwild, and they're helping out another studio build the Battletoads game, and who knows what they're going to be doing after this and stuff. But it was always really interesting to think of Rare and how the company that we knew nothing about back in the 90s and has always been super, super secretive about what they're working on. Kind of, yeah. And it feels kind of like there's still studios out there, like Blizzard's one of them. We still never find out what Blizzard's working on. Retro Studios, like, are they building Metroid Prime, or are they just doing a lot of barbecues in their backyard? We don't know. So you get a company like Rare, and you see like how their viewpoint has changed and how they've decided to open up everything they possibly can that is within their limits to the world, so that we have good input about it. It's like, it's so cool to actually get this, and to find out that the people that work for the company are just decent human beings at the end of the day is even better. Like, I love that about them. I don't even remember what my point was with that. Oh, we were talking about we were talking about going to visit them. So I wanted to get back to the flags. So you gave them a box of flags. In honor of the fortune. And so correct me if I'm wrong.
We were basically, as one does, it was giving something back again. If that's one thing I can say, if you're ever attending an event where Rare is present and you're there for Sea of Thieves or Everwild or Banjo-Kazooie or whatever, they appreciate gifts or small little things, because that's something they can show around the studio and basically share with the rest of the people that were not going for the events and they're still working back in Twycross, and it's like a moral boost every time. I think. So we basically thought, like, all right, we've been active in the community for a while. Rare is the reason why we got together in the first place. Like, we're all like-minded players, but probably without Sea of Thieves wouldn't have poured ourselves together to form one little thing, which is our little group fortune. So we were like, all right, maybe it's time to give something back, even if it's just something small. So we came up with making our own pirate flags that were representing different people within our group. And we got some physical flags, like actually printed on cloth. Yeah. And something they can hang on the studio or whatever they want to do with it. And we did little smaller flags on paper, or what's paper mache? What's called, like, the harder paper? Karton. That's what I would say in German.
Pappe. Cardboard or
cardboard. There we go. That's the word, cardboard. Why do you use such a long word for such a small thing? So we printed out smaller flags on cardboard, and so the flag motif was on one side, and on the flip side was like a letter written, sometimes very personal, from that person the flag belongs to. So it was basically flags from our community and like little thank you notes and letters of appreciation. That's what we got. And we handed them, put them all in a little box, and went to Gamescom 2019, so last year's Gamescom in Cologne. Yeah. And actually had a player there that flew over from the US just to be there and meet Rare as well. Dr. Bullhammer, little shout out here. You might have heard from him. So
we don't need to talk about him again. That's okay.
Yeah, I know. And we just got there and handed them over to the team. Jason Cross was there as well.
Who, if you don't know Jason Cross, he's the head designer for the Arena team.
Right, exactly. And since the whole display at Gamescom that time was about the Arena, I think it was the first time you could play on Duos Loops in the public.
Yeah.
And so he was there, and he was so happy. They were all really
That's so cool.
appreciative of the little gift that we gave them. And we were not the only ones. They got more gifts as well, I think. There was
Liz
what
brought
was
him
that?
something, didn't she?
Who did?
Or Liz LaRue? Didn't she bring them something?
I don't know. Liz was not at
I
Gamescom.
remember.
I think I'm also mixing it up with EGX because all those events were kind of close together. I just know that giving them gifts and like the Rogue Legends, for example, is another fleet within the community. They gave them something as well at the last EGX and last year's EGX. So gifting them is it's not unique to us. It's like it's almost like a tradition now. If you go to an event like them, then you give them something, and they're always so appreciative. And they're like, again, it's like something they can bring back home, show the other people at Twycross, and be like, "Hey, this is what we got. Look, this is awesome. Our community is the best."
It's an offering to the rare gods.
It's like an offering, right? We're just offering flags and little books and so many things. I've seen a lot of stuff.
There's been a ton of stuff that the community's given them. So and so you brought up Rogue oh my gosh,
Rogue Legends.
Thank you.
With the leg ends, yeah.
Yeah. So, but you're a part of Fortune Union. So Fortune Union brings, like, for example, you guys do a lot of community events, and we just recently got the announcement of the affiliate alliance, the Sea of Thieves affiliate alliance system. So I wanted to bring this up for anyone that has a community, because say like if you have a community, you have a fleet. And for example, your fleet has a Discord server. There's now a way that you can get support from Sea of Thieves, and there's actually there's a bit of stuff that you have to do to be able to actually get into it. So kind of the submission guidelines for this are: you have to, first and foremost, you have to uphold the pirate code. Which, if you don't know what the pirate code is, you're already in the bucket. Shame on you, because the pirate code was created by the community. And then there's technically the community code of conduct, which is more Rare's specific guidelines that they have for conduct within the community. Like, they're saying like, hey, we have a pirate code, and the pirate code was created by the community, but let's be honest, these are the real rules on what you can't do, and they're very specific about what you can and can't do, or you're going to get in trouble. So right off the bat, you already have to uphold those two different codes, which are easy if you're a nice human being. You have to be active and have an active moderation team and policy, which if you're in the Discord, then you should already have rules just to make sure people know what they can and can't do, and then have some people that are helping keep in charge over that, so that it's not left up to just one person. And then you have to have at least 1,000 members and be active for a minimum of 6 months, which for most of the communities out there, that's not too hard. Smaller communities like mine, we don't have 1,000 members, but at the same time, we're kind of one of those things where it's more of the podcasts Discord as opposed to a full community for Sea of Thieves, kind of like a fleet. These are just folks that are fans of the podcast. So hopefully at some point I'll get us up to 1,000 members, and we can apply for this. Until then, I'm not too worried about it, because everyone seems pretty content with what's going on. But we wouldn't mind being on this. But you also have to have quality content and regular contributions. So you can't be a dead Discord and just get in there. You got to be doing stuff. So that's something that Fortune, I think, would actually be really good at, because you guys do really cool events. And I was hoping that you could kind of share some of your favorites on what you're looking forward to, and even with some of the other different fleets out there.
Yeah, I think one thing that is interesting right now with Fortune is that we slowed down a bit and being actively doing the events ourselves. But we're working. How dare we? We're working with the fleets and groups within the Pirate Council to bring games or game modes that we came up with, like Skull Bowl, to the wider community.
So
And
touch on Skullball, because I know what that is, but not a lot of other people may be familiar with this, and maybe they want to jump in after kind of learning a little bit more about what Skullball is.
a Skull Ball is basically like your basic neutral capture the flag game mode that you have in other FPS shooters or something, where you in Sea of Thieves you would set up two ships opposing each other with an island in the middle. And on that island is one skull, the skull ball, and that's neutral. So both teams start out on their ships, get onto the island, fight over that skull, trying to get into the possession of that skull, and then they carry that skull to the opposing team's ship and try to climb up to the crow's nest and ring the bell, and then they score a point, and then everything gets reset, and then the next round starts. So that's like, again, it's like your run-of-the-mill neutral flag game mode, just translated to Sea of Thieves.
Well, you say run of the mill, but as far as I remember, capture the flag. Capture the flag is pretty tough, but with Sea of Thieves, like that could be extremely difficult to get up, especially if you have two galleons. Trying to get up the mast of a galleon can take quite a while. And there's only so many people to guard a ship. If you have all three players on the deck and one person climbing the mast, they're still outnumbered by the time everyone from the opposing team gets from the ferry. So,
yep.
I mean,
that makes
I could
for
see
tense
that
gameplay. If you have a 4v4 going on with two galleons and you have one person climbing the mast while the others try to hold down the other team, that can get hectic. And we've seen some amazing plays where literally last second pistol shot dropped the guy that was climbing up the crow's nest to the crow's nest, and prevented them from scoring because he died at the last possible second and dropped down with a skull. Amazing.
that's the kind of stuff that I think a lot of people would have some fun with, because it doesn't feel like that's too hard to set up in Sea of Thieves. But to talk about with the affiliate program, is that something that Fortune is looking to do to get their fleet set up so that folks have another resource to them if they're looking for places to find interesting stuff to do in the game that isn't just around what the base game is?
Yeah, I mean, we would kind of like being part of the affiliate alliance program, but Fortune itself is a rather small group. Like, we're really just a bunch of individuals. I think we're right now, you could count us with two hands and you would have no problem. So it's not in the hundreds of users numbers. But where was I going with this? So yeah, we're a rather small community. We don't really necessarily fulfill the requirements of having 1,000 user for the affiliate program.
Okay.
That being said, since we're also in the Pirate Council and stuff, and again, we kind of slowed down hosting those events ourselves, but we're very much still there trying to enabling other communities to do the same thing. Like, if somebody wants to host Skullball or something, I mean, that's really a basic premise. Like I just said, you just need two galleons and an island, and there's some rules there, some minor rules. They can host it themselves, and that's actually what happened fairly recently with one of the affiliate alliances group, COF France. They hosted their own Skullball tournament or game. Yeah, it was tournament.
Yeah.
It was an elimination tournament. Was great to see. Like, I think Sirio was kind of shoutcasting for the English rebroadcast because the original broadcast was all in French. And
wow.
He was really excited to see his baby because he came up originally with the idea of Skullball and having that as a Sea of Thieves thing.
Yeah.
He was so excited to see somebody else take his baby and get their own spin on it. And I give it to the French people. Their production quality, you have to see this as well, Logan. Their production value and what they did was amazing. That was like blowing everything out of the water I've seen so far. Like, that's so great. They were
That's
so
awesome.
enthusiastic as well. Like, they really got what Skullball is about and made it a enjoyable event for their audience. So that was really great to see.
That's cool. So yeah, like I didn't, I had no idea that Sea of Thieves France was even doing anything like that, and that's something. Oh, hi, Kat.
Oh, hi, though.
She snuck in here. So yeah, like with Sea of Thieves France doing stuff like this, I'm looking at the list of different communities, and you've got the Sea of Thieves community, which is a very large English-based Discord server. There's the Sea of Thieves France, Sea of Thieves Brazil, Sea of Thieves Deutschland, Sea of Thieves Italy, and Sea of Thieves RU or Russian. And basically, if you speak like one of the main languages that's around, there's probably some exceptions as far as like Asia is concerned, but most of the community around the world is got a good representation on this website. So I'm going to have the website and the link here, and I'm going to see if I can dig up the video or the actual video to the Skullball France, so that I can throw that in the show notes as well too, because I'm interested to see how it was too, because that's kind of been some of the discussions that's been going around about Rare opening up to the option of giving us private servers. A lot of people have been kind of against the idea of, private servers as being a way to earn gold and titles and stuff like that. But with these kind of situations, like the world is here for us to do with what we want, or to do what we want with it. And having our own kind of events and stuff is kind of the essence of building our adventures, having our own adventures, and kind of harkens back to something that I think Mike Chapman really would love to see kind of in his world. He wants us to have these grand adventures and stuff, and having two fleets come together in a tournament style, capture the flag style game. I love that idea. I've posed the idea to Jason Cross about using the arena as a way to have capture points where you're using the beacons to light your ship color on the beacon, and you have to hold certain 3 out of 5 beacons in order to gain enough points to beat out the rest of the ships. And that way it's like a battle between multiple ships to try and hold different points, and whoever holds the most points wins at the end of the time limit. So I think private servers would really, really help out with trying to bring some ease of use, like on-demand use for these kind of events, and seeing them kind of build up this affiliate alliance. I'm hoping that if folks like Fortune, who may not have the membership requirements, look to what you guys are doing, where you're kind of working with the Pirate Council and talking to different content creators to maybe joining up communities, so that we could kind of create our own sized Discord that would give us the opportunity to qualify for something like this, where Rare would support us and possibly have like giveaways or codes or things like, rewards for the winners to be able to justify like, what we're actually doing and in the eyes of the community.
Access to private servers. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the big thing. And I think that's I honestly think that's where private servers, if we get them, are gonna be headed. There has been many discussions on the forums as well, if people wanting a PvE mode, and you see that crop up everywhere on Reddit as well. You see that sometimes in replies on Twitter or elsewhere. The people want a PvE mode, and I understand people wanting to just sail around enjoying their time. But I think if they would play in a purely PvE mode where they can rank up their reputation and stuff, would take away from the core essence of the game, that is this shared world. So I think that private servers will go in the direction that you can't wrap up or earn gold, and it's more like, here's a sandbox, here's a toolbox, the world is your playing field, do your events or do your fun stuff there, But if you wanna make your pirate legend, like fulfill your pirate legend, then you would need to go into the normal servers, like the open ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and I personally, there are definitely times where, regardless, like for example, the times where you and I have just sailed around and talked, like
Yeah.
for things like that, it's fun when we get attacked because it's like we get the moment of interruption where we have to we get an opportunity to have some fun. But there are definitely times where I would love to take some of my friends that aren't as strong with game knowledge for this game because they play so many other games and be able to kind of usher them into the experience similar to kind of how it was when the game first started. And that's something that you talk about in the spotlight that I encourage everyone to go actually read, is a lot of the stuff that is taken for granted by old sailors really is kind of a burden to bear for newer players. It's a barrier of entry, and trying to break down those walls to make it easier for people to get into the game, get familiar with the game, and then once they're comfortable, kind of push them into the live server where you're actually playing against other players. I see it all the time in other games where they have competitive play. Like, you know, you can play against bots until you get so good at playing against bots that you're like, I need more of a challenge. And then you jump into the live gameplay, and then you start playing against other people and seeing how they interact. And it's like there's a gap that needs to be allowed for. And I think that a lot of folks that are beyond that barrier don't see the value in developing time for that. But every minute that you put towards bringing in new players into the game keeps this game alive. So if you love playing this game, if you love playing the game for what it is and all the things that are in it, bringing more people is the goal. You don't want to take people away from that. You don't want to rule people out and say they can't have what they want because it doesn't fall in line with what you think the game is for you. It should be something for everyone, and more people will find their way to where you are, and it'll be better for that because they'll be even more experienced than the crew that is battle hardened and completely salty and knows exactly how to wreck out in the seas. You know, they're cutthroat. And then the people that have just barely bought the game, got it for Christmas, they just popped it in to see what it was because they got Game Pass, and then they get completely swamped by all the stuff that's going on and then never play the game again. And it's like you need to ease people into the where the game state is right now, and that's where I see the benefit with beyond just community events where private servers could come in handy is having communities that usher people into events. And then once they get comfortable with the private servers and they're comfortable into that, bring them into the live servers. And then they can actually start to get that greed, that desire, that lust for pirate legend, and to see, you know, like the pirate legend tavern on their own, and to have that experience, and then to go out and start the cycle over again, start bringing new people in and being like, look, this is really, really, really fun. And I think you're going to have a blast doing it. And I'm going to be here to help you learn how to do that. So, as I kind of, was there anything that I missed that you wanted to touch on before I switch on anything, or is there anything that you wanted to bring up?
Depends on what you're switching to.
I'm pretty much, I think that was, there's not too much else in the news that I can really see. We're really kind of waiting for the next update. We're still 2 weeks at least out from whenever the next update. I don't know if is it coming out.
Was it really 2 weeks out? I thought that might be the 2 week cadence right now because February just started, right?
Yeah.
God, that's such a long while. We need to wait.
I know. it feels like an eternity when it's the last 2 weeks, but have you gotten all your stuff turned in, all your commendations worked out for this update?
I have to check like one or two things for the immortalization things. Besides, I think I'm pretty much set. Yeah.
Can I just say, I really hate that your guys is so low key. Like it's like the little scratches in the rock Like I was
That's for
looking
the
for him the other day.
deckhands, That's
Yeah.
the deckhands. Don't confuse that with boatswains. We
Oh,
don't
you're
got,
right.
we don't got none. We don't
I
need
thought
one.
you guys. Oh,
Oh no! That wasn't meant in a petty
that's
way. That was
shade.
like
That's
no.
shade.
No, I
No,
meant
no, no,
like
no. Nope,
no.
that's
That
shade.
was not shade throwing.
You don't say they got one, we don't need one without
No,
throwing
no,
shade. That's not how that works.
We got none. We don't need one. No, that was
That's
not
exactly how it
that
came
was-
across.
No.
That was
That's not how I meant it.
listen back to it. I promise you'll hear it. It was right there. No. Okay, but boatswains, you guys.
I think having the title of boatswain is our recognition. That's the thing. It's not in the game, but it's there, and we all know we got it for being a positive influence within the community and contributing and trying to keep the forum healthy or the discords healthy, or I hope like being friendly to other people. I mean, Rare's not even saying be friendly to other people. They just said stay who you are, right? So
Yeah.
all the boatswains, we are critical of Rare. Like it's not like we are yes sayers or something like that. We do open our mouth if something is not going right, or in our opinion is not going right, or because each and every one of us is an individual.
Unlike those dirty deckhands.
No, I'm not saying the deckhands are yes sayers.
Complete shills.
I'm friends with them. I think we got our recognition by, hey, you guys are awesome. Stay like that. Stay awesome. And here's a token of our gratitude, making you boatswains. There's only 31 of us, if I counted right.
And that was one of the first few things that Rare ever did for the community too. Like the deckhands were there, and you've had like the Brave Vanguard and stuff if you signed up before the beta. But I mean, boatswains have been around longer than I have for the game. Like I'd heard about boatswains and I'd heard about the deckhands before I got going. So and I started off in the beta because I was late to the hype. Like I didn't even realize it was a thing until like a few months before the game even got launched, and then I was like, "Dang, I missed out." I missed out a lot.
There's so many inside jokes. I don't understand.
There really were. It was a whole community before I even got into it, and I stepped into it, and I was just like, "I like this. These are some good waters right here. I'm enjoying this. I'm staying. Yeah, I'm ditching everything else. I'm sticking to this." And that's exactly what happened too, man. I got in deep, and a tattoo and a podcast later, I'm still going. I love it. But man, yeah. So I'm hoping that at some point those dirty deckhands will realize that their player immortalizations are just that, and that the boatswains will be the true victors of the battle of deckhand versus boatswain. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I don't. What do you say? What is the word? It's been being said in politics lately so often.
Dirty deckhand?
No, not dirty deckhand. I don't want to distance myself from whatever you said about dirty deckhands. No.
I mean, you told me before we started recording that you can't stand looking at their player immortalizations, and that's why you haven't checked them all off, because they're dirty deckhands. But
this man is a liar.
What?
Jeez.
Me? No.
Yeah.
I would never lie, cheat, or steal in Sea of Thieves.
Hey, the boot swines, how we call them, and the deckhands, we're like this, and I'm making little.
That is a rude gesture, folks. You can't see this right now.
I'm crossing my fingers.
I can see this. He is making the rudest. I didn't realize that gesture translated so well into English. But man, you Germans, you got some dirty gestures right there, folks. I'm glad there's no video for this, because I would hate for you to have to see what he's doing to suggest that these deckhands are that. That's just wow. Oof.
I'm just shaking my head right now.
I didn't know you had it in you.
You wanted to say though that the deckhand Easter egg is so hard to spot because it's etched into the rock on what is it?
Cannon Cove.
Cannon Cove, yeah.
Ridiculous.
And it's so hard to see. And I would agree, it's super hard to see. It's super hard to see.
I stared at the rock forever. I was actually staring at the rock and I was like, it's supposed to be right here. I feel like they took it out because I can't see it. And then I walked up and I was like,
somebody wiped it off
interact with. It felt like some boatswain like went over and just scrubbed it off the side of the rock. It was really weird. I couldn't find it. And I was like, man, if I didn't know Thor was such a down to earth, salt of the earth kind of guy, I would suspect that he came over here and just was like mumbling under his breath something about dirty deckhands and scrubbing the names off of this rock because I can't find them, and that's crazy. No, but I think I've got one or two more that I just haven't sailed out because it's a matter of where I log in whenever I get into the game. But I think I'm in the same scenario that you're in, where I've got a couple more that I just need to sail out and go get them because I'm being lazy.
The ones I need are in the roar. That's why I didn't check them off yet, because I'm like, do I want to sail into the roar today? Nah. So I sailed in the other direction. Or somebody, like, I'm on my way to the roar, and then there's a bounty, Reaper's bounty chest popping up or something. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this. And once I have that on my ship, there's another ship coming. I'm like, guess I'm not heading to the roar. I need to turn this in. And there's people on my butt. That's... not today, Roar. Let's try it another time.
You're the second person on the podcast that I've talked about the Roar with, and everyone seems to just be like, nope, don't want to do it.
I like the Roar. It's so friendly now. Remember the early days? Wow, when you got annihilated as soon as it started rumbling, and you were like, oh, all right, we definitely gotta go. And now it's like, oh, it's rumbling. I'm going to take one more look into that barrel and then I go. Because that's what I do nowadays. It's like, all right, I know I need to go, but I can squeeze a couple more seconds in. It's not that
It's not as bad as it used to be. Yeah. It used to be ruthless. And now it's just like, I'll kind of poke you a little bit just to annoy you.
Just a little bit more. Just one more barrel. Just one more.
I know there's a cursed cannonball somewhere in this barrel. I'm going to find it, and I don't care about you, Volcano. Yeah. But before it used to be like, okay, everyone, hands on deck. Let's go. We got to go. We got to get out of here. Drop what you're doing. I don't care what it is. Let's go. Because it was rough.
It's a bit tamer now, and it's not to say that this is a bad thing, because I appreciate that you have such a scenic moment. Like, I could bring up another game as an example, but to stick with Sea of Thieves, I like the near misses of the volcanic rocks, because it gives you the feeling of being in a tense moment without endangering you completely. So you have many close calls, and it looks awesome, and there is a certain tension there, but you're not written off completely. Before, it was when it went off and you were still there and you weren't on a galleon could take hits, still can. But before, it was, if you were on a sloop or on a brig and you were still in the inner circle of the volcano exploding, you might have a bad time. Yeah. And it was a really bad time. And now it's like, yes, you get hit, and now they added fire and stuff. So you get that as a bonus. But I appreciate that it's a lot of close calls, and they make you tense up for like half a second. You watch that one rock flying towards you, and you're like, all right, that's definitely it. That's going to be the one that smites me down. And it misses like inches from your boat. And then you're like, whew, okay. And there's the next one. And it misses again, but it's cool. It's that little micro tension for a couple seconds or so that it makes it more enjoyable. And I feel like that also lowers the frustration levels for newer players. We are all experienced. Again, that's to arch back to something you said earlier that I said in the spotlight. We often forget how overwhelming the game can be if you know nothing about it. And I get that the Roar is meant to be an area for the more experienced players, but you still got to level out a bit. And I feel like where it is right now, even if it's way easier than it was before, is a nice thing. Like you still can get struck by the rocks. They do damage. Set your ship on fire. You have a lot to deal with while other fiery rocks fly around your ship if you get hit. So it's that tension building. You're not in real danger anymore, but the tension is always there, and that's an emotion that definitely needs to be evoked. And I think the balance right now is completely right for that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is in part because of some of the changes that you talked about. Like we now, before when you got hit, it was just you either on top deck and you got holes or you got killed. Now it's fire, it's broken masts, it's broken wheels, broken capstan. So there's a lot more that you have to deal with if you do get hit, and it's not quite as easy as just like, all right, drop anchor or drop sails, let's go, let's get out of here. We'll patch the holes as soon as we get out of the range of it. But now it's like you may not actually make it out. You may not be able to live long enough to get the mast back up and repaired before the next hit. And on top of the fire, on top of the holes, it's a little bit more treacherous, but it happens less frequently. And I think that that's a good balance for the roar. And I'm hoping at some point there's going to be something that gets us back into the roar, because like something I was talking about with Jay last episode is the Molten Sands Fortress was kind of that attempt to get us back over to the roar to play around in there, but the rewards for the fortress just weren't good enough to justify going out that way for it. Because of its location and because of the position of a couple of volcanoes that are on it and next to it. But really, some of the fun stuff that we had when the Devil's Shroud came, or the Devil's Roar came out, was based around just like having to try and decide, like, okay, it's going to go off now. And then it goes off. But then it was like you'd sail out and you'd wait and you'd be like, all right, well, it's been like 5 minutes. How long is this thing going to erupt for? Like, we got stuff to do. Like, we could be doing other stuff right now. And that opened you up to dealing with other ships or other threats in the world, because it was like, all right, well, we're out here. This just gives more time for someone else to sail over and be like, they're doing something over there. We could go attack them.
How you doing?
Yeah,
Nice.
there was always always that temptation. So I'm hoping that sometime in the near future we'll have something that draws us back. I'm sure we will. I'm sure there's something.
Yeah, I heard there's some kind of I don't know, what is it called? Fire stomach guy or something in the area. Like making moves. Something was going on. I forgot his name. So I'm
there is something. Yeah, we followed a weird guy with a sword with a lightsaber for a while, and he did some stuff.
Fire kidney.
No, it was oh gosh, no, I can't think of what it was. It was like Tender Heart or something. I can't remember. But yeah, there's something that was going on over there. We'll probably go over there at some point to go see what that was all about. But until then, I'm sure we'll keep seeing what's going on with Reaper's hideout and turning more and more skeleton army bits to the mass stranger.
I like how willfully, how willingly we all give our gold away. We're like, or our hard-earned loot. You're gonna pay me for that? Yeah, I don't care what you're doing here, what you're scheming. You're obviously scheming. But I get paid? All right, I'm in.
It's
say no more. I'm a pirate.
It reminds me of, and I miss that Rare doesn't do this anymore, but remember back in 2018 when we had the E3 trailer for Cursed Shores, and the pirate walks in and he drops all this stuff on Madame Olivia's table, and there's like this cursed cannonball and a crab, and the crab runs off, and she picks up this cursed cannonball. She's like, going into this awesome prophecy of doom that's going to come, and the guy's sitting there, and she's like, you just want to know how much you can get for it. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, all right,
Yeah,
I'll give you
exactly.
10 bits. That's essentially like, let's be honest. Rare had us pegged from the beginning. They knew exactly how we are and what we want, and how we don't necessarily care what you're gonna do with the cursed cannonball. Just tell me how much you're gonna give me for it. Maybe it's our fault.
God, imagine if they would, without telling us, they would actually run a background campaign that actually takes into account how many people support her at the hideout, and how many don't. Like people that never paid something in, and reward them on that basis. Like it's an active campaign that
Oh
we can
man,
influence.
that's
I kind
something
of wish we
that
get something like that in the future. That would be amazing if you can actually pick and choose a side, and that the outcome, depending on what
they
players
should.
choose, changes the narrative. That would be cool.
That's one of the things that's kind of brought me back into World of Warcraft was this last expansion. They had Sylvanas, who is my favorite Bay out of World of Warcraft. She's my favorite overall. They made her into this villain, but is she a villain? Like, you've got the loyalists and you've got the separatists, and the people that are like, I want my old horde, and then there's the people that are like, nah, Sylvanas is Queen Bay. She's the one that we're going to follow regardless. And you could betray the trust of either one. And they built that into the story, and there was a reward for those that were loyalists to the bitter end for Sylvanas. They got extra story, and I want Rare to take that, just rip it off completely, just steal it, throw it into the game.
God,
Because
imagine
if
we
there
would
were,
have.
if
Remember
we had an option,
the mermaid statue campaign where we needed to destroy them for Duke because he wanted us to do so?
exactly
Duke the
why,
Dark Lord, how you call him? I wish that would have bitten us in the butt. Like I wish that would have come back as, hey, why did
guess
you
what?
all destroy that? That is
Yeah,
like bringing wrath upon all of us. Like the Outpost guys would have been freaking out and stuff. Why did you do that? Well, because Duke told us so. If Duke tells you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Well, if there's money in it, yeah, of course I would. Someday.
yeah. Exactly. Like I'm hoping for that payout. I want that I want our choices to be impactful to the world, not just our reputation. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that is feasible. I definitely think that that's feasible. I would just love to see that story get worked into it, because there's been all of these things like the skeleton thrones that never ticked off any skeletons were sitting in their thrones. They didn't care. There's so many different things that we've done throughout the game that seem like it should have had repercussions, and it hasn't been until recently with Reaper's hideout and building up the fort that it's like, okay, maybe something we're doing here isn't.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing this. I feel like it's going to happen no matter what, but I don't know that I feel 100% okay with this, and that's a sentiment that's been going around a lot lately. So, I think I'm gonna wrap it up with this. There's been a lot of the community that have been very vocal as of late about a whole bunch of different things: guns, captaincy, private servers. Do you ever see that ending with our community? Do you think we'll ever get to a point where we're completely satisfied? We'll have everything we ever wanted?
Where does that ever happen? Where does that ever happen that you can please all the people? That's not going to happen. There's always going to be a group that will be like, hey, that's not what I thought it would be.
That's you bring up a fair point. We can't please everyone all the time, and I think on that note, it's time to end the episode. So if you guys wanted more podcast, sorry, it's not going to happen on this one, but I do know that there are a lot of other people out in the seas that would love to have a chance to shout out to you, to talk to you and stuff. So where can people find you on social medias?
You can find me on Twitter at, now I need to look it up myself because I don't know my own Twitter handle. Yeah, shame, right?
How dare
you can find me on Twitter on at Thor von Blitz, or Thor_von_Blitz. That's my Twitter thing.
And you're a part of the you're a part of the Fortune Union.
Fortune Union, yeah.
Do they have their own
They have
Discord
their own
that you
Twitter
can
handle,
recommend?
and yeah, they got we got our own Discord. But I said we're like a smaller group. But if you want to keep up with what we do, also with the Pirate Council, then you can follow Fortune on Twitter as well under @FakeTunaTweet. There's a story behind that.
Oh, that's so funny. We'll have to. I'll have to bring you back on so that we can bring that back up at the end of another episode. Thor, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you doing it. So on such late notice, it was an idea that sparked in my head before I was jumping in the shower, and I was like, I want to talk to Thor, and I can't do it right now, but I want to do it during this weekend. And you were all for it, and I appreciate you working with me on the silliness that was the outro or the intro to the episode.
Oh God.
It was such a random idea, and I feel like I hope a lot of people enjoyed it. So thank you again so much for that.
You did well. Thank you
Passable
for having
German.
me. I think passable German. I think people that speak German will understand it. Everybody else will be like, huh?
That's good. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping to impress my heritage of Deutschland, so that they could realize that I may be a Keller, but I'm not the worst Keller out there. So, and with that, pirates, I think that's going to do it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you want to get a hold of me and you want to share your stories, thoughts, anything that we talked about or missed, you can always reach me at CAPT_LOGUN. You can always send me an email at CAPTLOGUN@gmail.com. My gamer tag's also just CaptainLogun, all one word with the U instead of an A. And pirates, with that, thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.
And then you should play polka.
Polka.
Making mistakes. Like, nah, God, fuck.
Oh no, trust me, it's gonna be rough no matter what. But all right, so I'm gonna give this another shot. We'll see how this goes. Willkommen zum Keelhauled Podcast. Ich bin euer Gastgeber, CaptainLogun, und wir haben heute über eine Menge Sea of Thieves Neuigkeiten zu berichten. Also schnallt euch an den Mast und haltet euch fest. Best that up at the end. I felt...
It's going really well. So you basically, the first 2/3, you got them.
Willkommen zum Keelhauled Podcast. Ich bin euer Gastgeber, CaptainLogun, und wir haben heute über eine Menge Sea of Thieves Neuigkeiten zu berichten. Also schnallt euch an den Mast und haltet. Okay, all right. We'll do. We got through it once. We're gonna do it one last time. Hopefully, this is the one that I can use for the take. Willkommen zum Keelhauled Podcast. Ich bin euer Gastgeber, CaptainLogun, und wir haben heute über eine Menge Sea of Thieves Neuigkeiten zu berichten. Also schnallt euch an den Mast und haltet ein... Nope. Willkommen zum Keelhauled Podcast. Ich bin euer Gastgeber, CaptainLogun, und wir haben heute über eine Menge Sea of Thieves Neuigkeiten zu berichten. Also schnallt euch an den Mast und haltet euch fest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was good?
That was good.